What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and today we are coming through with that video that I promised you when we look at Pokemon investing versus sports cards investing. We're going to talk about the advantages in this video. I've got another video where we're going to come on, we're going to talk about the disadvantages. So my hope here is that I take my new love of Pokemon investing and my over 20 years of investing in sports cards. We put all of that knowledge and experience together and we come up with some really awesome content and some really great things for us to talk about here in the Pokemon world. And I'm hoping that I'll learn from you and you'll learn from me along the way, and we'll just come up with a great community. So if you like what you see and you want more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop some comments. I'd love to engage with you guys and just build a great community overall. So without further ado, let's get into it, okay? So the very first thing that I wanted to talk about here, this hobby is in its infancy, and that is such a huge advantage, right? Like, I know 1999 was the first US set. I know there were some earlier Japanese products that came out. I know the Game Boy games came out earlier than that, but I want to say 1999 is the very beginning, right? Like, that is a young hobby. The best way I thought of to illustrate that is, let's think of a room of people, and the oldest person in the room, say, is 25 years old. Okay, and obviously the youngest is a newborn. Now, is the 25-year-old old? Well, they're old compared to all of the other people in the room, right? But are they old in the grand scheme of things? No, they're 25 years old. Like, at the end of the day, they're probably fresh out of college. They're just starting their lives. Like, they have tons of years of growth, tons of years of experience, tons of years of maturing ahead of them. I know at 25, I wasn't very mature. So yeah, comparatively to the people in the room, they're old. But comparatively to the outside world, they're still young. They're fresh young whippersnappers, if you will. So the fact that Pokemon in the US dropped its first product in 1999, I think that is incredibly advantageous for those of us who are interested in the hobby right now. I don't think that there's vintage Pokemon right now. There's early Pokemon, there's modern Pokemon, there's brand new Pokemon, but I wouldn't call any of it vintage. The oldest card I have in my collection is a 1911 T206 Honuswag or Ty Cobb card, right? It's worth 15 grand. That is vintage. I've got a lot of cards from the 30s, 40s, 50s. Those are vintage, okay? Pokemon is going to get there, and when they get there, those of us who started now, those of us who are investing now, are going to be extremely happy, just like I am with all those vintage sports cards that I have. The other cool thing is, those 1999 cards, comparatively, are still super affordable. Like, you got to make sure that if you're buying graded cards, you check the population report. Even if you're buying ungraded cards, it's good to look at the population report, because what I promise you is this: I started sports card investing back when graded was super rare. Nobody had heard of PSA. It was just this brand new thing that was out there. Ungraded was still the way to go. I was lucky. I started buying PSA graded cards super early on. I know right now there's a lot of debate in the Pokemon world. Like, do you buy graded? Do you buy ungraded? Like, what's best for you? If you think this is going to be around for years and years and years, I'm talking 30, 40, 50 years, I'm telling you right now, the best investment you can make is in graded Pokemon cards versus ungraded. Hands down, no question. I have been through this before where grading is questioned. It has proven time and time again, graded cards are going to hold their value. They're going to appreciate faster. The higher the grade you can afford, the better. Okay? Take it from me, I promise. The other thing is, right now, I feel like a lot of the big whales, so the people who are splashing big cash, I think they're in other areas right now. I think they're in the baseball card market. A Mickey Mantle 1952 Topps just sold for $12.6 million. That is the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever in the history. It was an SGC 9.5, $12.6 million. I don't know if a Pokemon card will ever quite get that high, but it was graded, it was vintage, super high grade. I think a lot of the people are focused in those areas right now. If I wanted to turn that Ty Cobb card tomorrow, I could. Okay, if I wanted to sell my Jim Brown rookie card for $8 grand, I could. Like, a lot of the big money is in that space right now. And the other thing too is, I know there's a ton of Pokemon collectors out there. I know that there's a lot of excitement in the hobby, but I still think that the mass adoption from an investing standpoint isn't there yet. And that shouldn't scare you, that should excite you. Early adoption is the key to long-term success. So all of these things, this hobby being in its infancy, I think is a huge win for you and me and those of us who are seeing the future and are getting in on it right now. Next thing that I want to talk about, there's worldwide fanfare. I, in the sports card market, predominantly buy football cards. Okay, football cards are very isolated to the United States of America. Basketball has a little bit more reach. Hockey, big in Canada, big in the US, big in some other things. But there is no singular sport besides soccer. Soccer probably has the worldwide fanfare of Pokemon, but there is no singular sport that has the collecting base, the card collecting base that can even compare to Pokemon. They are popular all over the globe, young and old alike. That is extremely, extremely excited. I even read that on October, they actually released in China. They released 3 Pokemon sets in China. China has 1 billion people. Getting into that market is only going to be great for all of us involved in the hobby. Super excited to see that. There is just this massive, massive collector and buying base for Pokemon. And again, I feel like even as big as it is right now, I think it's only going to continue to grow. I think it is only going to provide more opportunity for us as the future comes. So I'm telling you right now, there's no sport that has the collectible items that can compare to the worldwide fanfare and popularity of Pokemon. Super excited, big advantage. Check one Pokemon. Next thing I want to talk about. When you look at Pokemon cards, there's no uncontrollable risks, right? Like, you don't have to worry think about all of the football card collectors who are all in on Deshaun Watson. And then all of a sudden, 25, 26, 27 women accuse him of sexual assault, right? Whether he's guilty or innocent, his cards have plummeted in value. They're worth nothing. People invested in them a long time. You don't have to worry about Pikachu going around the corner and lifting up a girl's shirt, or you don't have to worry about Charizard touching a guy in the wrong place. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that, okay? There's no PR risks with these Pokemon cards. Same thing with injuries, right? You have a player who blows their ACL out and all of a sudden their cards plummet. Julio Jones, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He was injured last year. He's injured this year. His cards have absolutely plummeted. Like, it has no reflection on the skill and the quality and the value of the player, but because he's been injured, his cards are plummeting, right? Bulbasaur is not going to go out there and blow an ACL. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about Ninetales sitting on the sidelines for 6 weeks because he's got a concussion. None of that's going to happen. And you also don't have to worry about performance. Again, this is the sports card side is going to be football based, but you look at Aaron Rodgers, 2-time NFL MVP, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, lock first ballot Hall of Famer. His card prices have been dropping because this year he ain't doing great, which is ludicrous to me. Like, you and I have no control over their performance and playing on the field, but it has drastic effects on their card value, right? You don't have to worry about that with Pokemon cards. No PR worries, no injury worries, no performance worries. You don't have to worry about any of that with Pokemon, okay? So I think that is a huge, huge advantage for Pokemon as well. The next thing that I'm going to say, and I know that there's a little bit in this Pokemon space, but it's nothing like the sports card collecting space. To me, it is just cleaner collecting, okay? There isn't all of these multiple sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, all of those have sports cards out there, right? There's just Pokemon. I get it, there's Magic, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, but I feel like those are in very different spaces than Pokemon. I think Pokemon is in a league all of its own, right? I also see that Pokemon releases one set at a time. Now, I know they release a lot of different products, the UPCs, ETBs, all these different boxes that come with, Pikachu, VMAX, and all that stuff. Like, I get they do a lot of stuff, but it's really only one set at a time. In the baseball, football, basketball card world, there are 1 million different sets dropping on top of each other all over the place. There's also, in the Pokemon world, a smaller number of variants. Like, I know there's V-Stars and VMAX and Rainbow and Gold and Secret cards and all of that. But look at this illustration. This is one card of one player. There's over 43 varieties of that card on this page, and that's not even all of them. I read something the other day that says some of the newest cards that are coming up, there's like 400 different varieties of the exact same card. How the heck do you know what to collect if there's 400 different varieties? Some are numbered to 10, 20, 40, 50. It's just, it's too much, okay? And I know that there's a lot in Pokemon, and I know if you're watching this, you probably know that there's a lot in Pokemon, but it is nothing compared to the sports card market. And I think that leads to a better, more stronger collecting base, a better, more stronger investing base, because you know what you're investing in. Even if there's 10 different variants of the same Pokemon card, which there isn't, but even if there is, at least there's 10 and there's not 400, okay? So you can dial in on that. I think cleaner, more focused collecting is a huge advantage in the Pokemon space. The next thing, and this is a big one too, believe it or not, okay? So the next one is in sports, there's these team and these player biases. You will find people who love players. Either they've played at their favorite college. I love Tennessee. You see my slides are orange and white. I use the Tennessee guy right here. I love players who come from the University of Tennessee. But you will find that you can make bad decisions because you love these players too much. They might not have the upside potential, but you're a little bit blinded by your bias towards the player or the team. There's also no free agency. There's no trading. You don't have to worry about your Pokemon being traded to Magic the Gathering. You don't have to worry about your favorite Pokemon not getting the contract that they want going over to Yu-Gi-Oh. You don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. Or somebody going from the Red Sox to the Yankees and all of a sudden their price drops. Aaron Judge, he was in the middle of free agency right now and his cards were starting to drop. He re-signed with the Yankees and his card values went back up. You can't control any of that in the sports card market. So The fact that you don't have to worry about that in the Pokemon space, I think is a huge, huge, huge advantage. And I think, again, this kind of lends towards what I was saying earlier, the cleaner collecting. I just feel like we can, as fans, and I am certainly guilty of this, we can be blinded by a favorite sport, a favorite team, or a favorite player. I am not diversified enough in my sports card investments. I am almost 100% into football. I probably have maybe 20, 30 grand in baseball, maybe 10 grand in basketball. But the predominantly, I mean, way, way, way into six figures is all in football cards. So if somebody decides football is too barbaric of a sport, football stops being played, I don't know what's going to happen to the cards, but I'm way overexposed to that. In Pokemon, I don't think there's that many risks. So, as always, everybody, listen, I hope you found value in this content. I hope that some of it makes sense. I really want to encourage you to drop comments down below. If you have questions or if I missed on something, I am learning just as much as you do. I have tons and tons of experience in collecting cardboard, but I don't have tons and tons of experience in the Pokemon space. So I want this to be a great community. I want us all to be engaged. So if you have questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, drop them down below. And if you don't mind and you have time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you as a long-term member of this group. So everybody have an awesome night. Thank you.